Hello, DMB here, and today we're going to go over Plot Factory's universe structure and world building capabilities. This is a tutorial specifically for users coming from StoryShop over to Plot Factory. We'll give you a little idea of kind of what to expect, what things might be a little bit different from StoryShop, and just how everything is structured. Then I'll have another video next week that will be more specific to like, okay, now that you've migrated, you've transferred all your content, here's where to find your beats, here's where to find your story, here's where to find your element cards and all that. But today we'll conquer sort of just the basics here. So you're seeing the main overall dashboard of Plot Factory right now. For my account, up here at the top, you've got some great statistics, just kind of showing the words that you've written on a daily basis. Mine kind of has some pretty severe jumps because I've been doing a little bit of copying and pasting as well as kind of getting in here and writing my fresh daily content over the last couple of weeks. And then another great thing about Plot Factory that you'll notice right off the bat on your dashboard, here's where you're being kept up to speed with all the announcements, bug fixes, things that, updates, things that are coming out in the near future. This is a great feature. And then forums, and these are being used. 17 hours ago, a day ago, 4 days ago, 4 days ago. So there's not a ton of people in here using these forums yet, but this is a feature that will continue to grow with Plot Factory, and I really love that they're building that community aspect. There's a place for you to share your stories. There's a place for you just to ask different technical questions, plot development questions, characterization stuff, and to get some answers from some other authors that are hopefully a little bit further along the road than you or just struggling in the same place. Also, the blog is an up-and-coming feature that they have with Plot Factory, and right here is a direct way where you can provide feedback and suggestions for new features and bug fixes if you spot one, which is the same thing that they have here on the sidebar further into the program. Click on that, it brings up their Discord, and this is a place where you can get more involved in the community. So great stuff going on there. This is another way for you to access your stories and your worlds. That shows the most recent stuff that you've been in, so you can pick right back up where you left off. If you closed your window and log back in and start it up again, you could immediately jump there. This is where you could also create a new story or a new universe. We'll jump right over to universes first. This is the big level picture. For my purposes, I have been working 100% in my Schism 8 world and Plot Factory so far, so this is the only universe that I have built in the program up to this point. There's a little bit of description that you can put in when you create the world. So I've done that. If I click on this, here's the spot where I can put my summary, change the name. All this is editable. I can select some genres from a little drop-down menu. Time settings. So here's just a bunch of fields that I can generate. I can generate a text field or a list field and put in as much, description about my world as I want to, my universe. So now I am in the program within my Schism 8 universe. So these stories that I click and see here, these are all the stories that are inside my Schism 8 universe. If I went inside another universe, I would not see any of these stories. I would only see the stories in that universe. So I've got two different series going in this universe so far. The Relic Hunters, which First Relic and Holy Relic are in that series, and then the green ones. And I've got Outburst, Outrage, and Awaken working titles on some of these in this world. And Also, if I go ahead and go to the characters, so right now this is showing you all the character cards that I have built so far within the Schism 8 universe, not just any one specific to any story. This is all of them. Now later when I drill down into a specific story, it'll show me just the characters in that story. Same thing with places. This is showing all of the places. The Schismate's a multiverse, and so basically I've just been creating a place for each one of the different universes within the multiverse as I get to them. So this shows you these, like if I drill down on one of these places, again, very similar to what you should recognize from StoryShop. You've got a place to enter kind of your general information and description. And then rather than having a bunch of unique kind of specific fields like we do in StoryShop, you have the ability to add these specific fields and call them whatever you want. So I created this field called Alive in this verse. So this is just a list of the characters. So this was a list one, and I'm listing out all the characters that are alive in this particular universe of the multiverse, helping me kind of keep track that way. Because it's sort of a doppelganger type of thing. And in some universes, some of the characters have been killed, while in other universes, all of the characters are still in existence. The series, Relic Hunters, is so far the only one of my series that takes place in this specific universe. But I could come down here and create a new text field and, label it climate. And then I could come over here into the information box and fill in any information about climate that I choose. So it's just that easy to put in any information that you so choose on any of these places. I haven't done any objects yet, notes at a world level yet. So they work the same way as the places and the characters. So now if we come back to the story, and you'll see, like, this is technical stuff. Like, this is not settings as in places. They use places for that, and these are actual technical settings for your account. And then the name generator is just something to play around with here if you're needing some suggestions for character names. Kind of a fun tool. So if I go back to my stories and I drill down on the most recent story that I'm working on here, the third one in the Green One series, I jump immediately to the editor. So if I so chose to go from my dashboard, I could just, boom, I'm right back into the editor and creating my new content of the day. I can come over here before I start and I can set a session goal of 2,000 words, and it will track me toward that goal on this particular session. I can reset it or I can clear it. That's kind of another little fun tool. Search and replace is over here, export. We'll go through some of these in a little bit more detail probably in another video. Moving right along, the editor, it's pretty clean, it's pretty crisp. You've got some rich text options up here. As you get to the end of a scene, here's where I can move scenes up and down pretty quickly from the editor. When I get to the bottom, this is something that you had to do within StoryShop. It's something that you still have to do within Plot Factory, but I actually haven't suggested this fix yet. I'm wondering if Jeff, the lead developer and founder of Plot Factory, might be able to do this pretty quickly, but I have just inserted a couple of empty scenes at the end so that I can keep my typing level more in the middle of the screen. This is something that Scrivener does really well. A lot of programs do not, but we'll see. Maybe we can get this upgraded in Plot Factory soon. So these are just empty scenes that I came down to this button, created a scene. I just have them down here as a buffer so that I'm not typing at the very bottom of the screen. So now that I'm in this particular book, or story as it's called in Plot Factory, these are my options over here. I can once again go back to my characters. So now these are sorted. I had to go and import the characters that I had from my total universe list, click the ones that I wanted drawn in, and then they're listed here as the characters that are in this particular story in my universe. And so these are the main 5 that I'm working with so far. There will be a few others as I go along, but I've just been kind of adding them as I've needed to, because I don't typically do a ton of planning in advance. I'm kind of a mix between a pantser and a planner. So again, these cards should look fairly similar as to what you've got in StoryShop. You've got some backgrounds. For my purposes, since these characters show up in a lot of different universes, I will come in here and add this sort of background box. And in this one, it's for the real universe, our actual universe, and then I'll put in some descriptor for that for each universe. And this character shows up so far in 3 different universes. Here's his background in one of the other universes. Just adding these things as I go along. It's pretty easy to add these new fields. And then I can turn this character sheet into a template by doing this, and then from then on, I don't have to rebuild all of these specific fields that I like. I can just select that template, and boom, it's all there, ready. The fields are there, ready for me to enter my specific information. So, pretty nice way to get a character going. These are the characters, different names in the different universes for me. Same thing, places. In this particular story, I have 2 of the universes involved, and so I've brought those 2 into this particular story. My notes here, I've basically just been using this as a place to keep my links. This is something that I think each of us will kind of learn a different way to utilize. This quick view button, in the coming weeks, Jeff is going to update this so that this basically, instead of just creating a pop-up that prevents me from working on the rest of my story, this will be a new window that I'll be able to drag off to the side and keep up as a reference while I continue to work. And that will, same thing for characters. I'll be able to bring up these individual windows on the side so that I can quick reference information on a character while I'm continuing to write in the main editor. And so this is how it's structured. It's structured by the world and then by the story. You can create characters and places and objects and all these things on the world level, and then you don't have to recreate them at the story level. You just drag them into the particular stories where they apply, and those automatically show up for you while you're working on each individual story. This is just another spot where you can drill down a little bit more on some of your statistics. I set an overall word count for this 3rd season, and so it's showing me how close I have gotten to that. You can come down and do a little bit of word analysis as far as repeated phrases and words that you're maybe overutilizing. I think this still needs a little bit more work. I've talked to Jeff about that. It doesn't seem to be working quite right for me, but yep, here's a quick jump back to the universe. So you can go back to the universe level, jump into a different story. Always go back here and be able to select the universe or select one of your other stories. You can jump around pretty quickly, navigating between universe and stories. Go back to the one I was just in. Last week I showed you how the plot organizer worked and the outliner, how those 2 things worked. But that's pretty much the rundown. This is what you should expect as you jump across from StoryShop. One last thing, you will not see when you are working in Plot Factory. There's no hyperlinking in these character or element cards at this point, so no little @ signs, no little hyperlinks for you to be able to click on anywhere to automatically open up any of your world building. I'm not sure if this is a feature that's going to be added down the road or not, but that's one thing that you will not see or the ability to kind of designate roles or characters in your beats. If you're jumping over into this plot organizer where you keep your beats, there's no hyperlinking to any of the characters or back to the text. So that's one thing that you will not see, but there's a lot of other great aspects going on here in Plot Factory that StoryShop did not have. So I think it is a good sort of give and take, with it being overall a positive. If you have any other questions or anything else you want to see, shoot me a note. I will be making more screencasts down the road. Until then, happy writing.